Alright, so now we're going to demonstrate the ArcGIS desktop, ArcGIS Online, ArcGIS for Collector, and the ArcGIS dashboard. So as you can see here, I have a map that I've created. It has a feature layer in it. This feature layer has two different subtypes, coniferous and deciduous trees. As you can see, there's quite a few attributes, but a pretty simple layout for information that we want to collect in the field. We've got the inspection start date, the tree condition, if the tree presents a hazard, any maintenance that is required, notes that the inspector can take in the field, the inspector name, and the tree type. So we've already signed in to our ArcGIS Online account through our desktop, and now we will share this feature layer as a service to ArcGIS Online. We want to choose to publish a service. We've connected to our ArcGIS Online account. The service name will be Idaho Falls. And now this will take us into the service editor dialog. Here we've just got to ensure we check the correct items, starting with capabilities. So we will want feature access for this particular ArcGIS Online feature service. And I also know that my company does not have tiled mapping enabled in its ArcGIS Online account, so I'm going to uncheck that. Now let's look at the feature access portion. Let's choose what kind of information we would like the ArcGIS Online to be able to access and do. So we would like to be able to create features, delete features. We'll want to be able to sync this information, and let's update it. Alright, next we'll move on to the item description. Here you can see it's auto-populated with several of the features that we'll need. Let's just make a few edits to this. Idaho Falls Seminar looks good for summary. Description, pretty basic, simple little description there. Everything else looks like it's pretty good here, so let's move on to the next button, sharing. At this phase, we don't actually need to share this feature service with anyone other than ourselves, and once this is published, this will show up in our My Content sections of ArcGIS Online. Now I do know we have one problem with this data set and this map for publishing online. We actually cannot publish this base map. So this is a service hosted by ArcGIS Online. We just added it to our base map here in ArcGIS Desktop, and it will not allow us to publish this again to ArcGIS Online. So let's just go ahead and remove that real quick so we don't encounter any more errors. And while that's updating, we will just wait for a second here. Alright, so that's updated now. Now we have an option here to analyze this data set for publishing on ArcGIS Online. This is always a crucial step, and it will ensure that the publishing is completed successfully. Looks like the only thing we have is with the layer drawing at all scale ranges. That's not particularly a big issue. You could address that in ArcGIS Desktop, but we will address that later on. So if everything looks good, we're going to go ahead and publish this to our ArcGIS Online account. Alright, as we can see, the service has been published successfully. So now let's go to the ArcGIS Online account. So I've already signed into my ArcGIS Online account, and I've accessed the My Content section of ArcGIS Online. Let's go ahead and refresh this, and we should see our feature service now available. Alright, let's click into the feature layer. We can do a little basic inspection here. It looks like we can add, update, delete features, export data is disabled, synchronization is enabled, track edits is disabled. So let's just click into the edit button here. As you can see, everything looks good. We have everything set. If we wanted to, we can set the extent from this location. As you can see, the extent is already pretty zoomed in, and that we're going to accept this default extent. Alright, the next step will be to add this to a web map. Now there is a trick in ArcGIS Online. If you've already opened a map during the day, you want to add a new feature layer to a new map, you always need to choose add layer to a new map. Otherwise it'll just add the feature layer to your existing map that you had opened previously. So let's go ahead and add this to a map. Looks like we have the map pulled up and we have the basic desktop background. For this purpose, why don't we go ahead and change the desktop background to imagery with labels. So now you can see we've got basically the same scene we started with in our ArcGIS desktop. We have our different features. We do have pop-ups set up here, and you can see we get our basic attribute definition in a really accessible format. And everything looks pretty good here. So the next step to make this available for use in Collector is we'll need to save this base map and save the feature set all together and then share this information with our group. So let's choose to save this and let's enter a title for the map. And let's add a couple tags. Tags are always very important. It'll auto-populate with previous tags that we've used. So we'll do trees and inspection. And we'll add a brief description in the summary portion here. And let's save the map. Alright, now that we have saved this map, we can choose to either directly share it from here using the share button, and you can see the different groups that we have created. You also can create a link to this, but for now we'll access this in a different portion. So let's return to the My Content section of ArcGIS Online. And now you can see that we have the Idaho Falls Seminar web map saved. Let's just click into that and inspect it a little further. So you can see we've got our basic extent set here. We've got trees, inspections for our tags. Let's choose edit and review some additional settings. So here we can add a more thorough description. We'll add some access, use, and constraints. And let's look at the properties down here. There's several items that we can set here. This map is already enabled for offline mode. This is because we enabled the feature layer for that. Let's say that we don't want others to save a copy of this item. This is we don't want our individual inspectors to go out and save their own copies of this. We want to have it all located in one spot. So let's not enable that. We can enable offline mode, that's fine. And let's look at the extent again. Okay, that looks pretty good. And application settings, here's where we can set some basic information, how a user can interact with the map. They can route, they can measure, they can choose which base map they wish to have available, and they can find locations. All of that looks okay. So now that we've saved that, we'll just go ahead and refresh our screen. Everything looks acceptable here. So we have now set up our web map for publication in ArcGIS Collector. It's pretty basic, pretty simple. There's a lot of additional functionality that we've kind of breezed over today, but for this demonstration this should suffice. So let's move on over to the collector application on our tablet. Alright, here we go. We are on to our tablet, and I am actually interfacing with this tablet right in front of me and displaying it on the screen. So this is running live on a Google Nexus 7 tablet. So we see our Idaho Falls seminar. Let's go ahead and access the Idaho Falls seminar. It'll take a second for it to upload here. Alright, well now we have our map pulled up here. As you can see, like I said, we are located in our office here, and this position is coming from our GPS on our device, and this is not actually the area where the data set exists. The data set exists in Idaho Falls, so we have a really quick way to access that data set. Just like in ArcGIS Desktop, we can create bookmarks, and we can automatically choose to access the default map extent. This will move us back to the Idaho Falls seminar dataset. Now that everything is loaded here, we do see we have several options, and it's always going to try to keep moving us back here, so just bear with me while we get back to that location. Okay, so we're going to zoom back into our area for the seminar. And as you can see, all we did there was select one of the trees to collect a new tree. So let's do a tree condition. Let's say we have a good tree condition. There is no particular hazard. No maintenance is required because the tree is healthy. For inspector, let's say this one was actually done by Chase. And you can see that since we selected our subtype deciduous, that is already populated. So let's go ahead and accept this by selecting the done in the upper left hand corner. And now it's going to remind us that we actually have to set a location for this. So let's choose the location. Looks like we have a tree right there, and now we'll choose done. So now we have added the new tree. So let's say that we actually want to update one of our existing trees. This deciduous tree looks like it's good. Here's another one that's pretty healthy. Over here we have a coniferous tree that is dead. So let's say we've come out and we've done our inspection and we actually did a replacement at this state. So the starting date of this was October 1st of 2014. We now want to edit these features. It looks like it had worms and it was a hazard. It was suggested for a replacement. The inspector noted the tree is diseased and needs replacement. So let's say we've gone ahead and replaced this tree. Let's select the edit button for this tree. Tree condition. Let's say it's healthy. As you'll also notice there, under tree condition for this coniferous tree, our ArcGIS Collector has maintained our subtypes, and we had a different domain value set for coniferous trees for the condition. We had additional options here, where it's underwater, there's beetles or worms. but we'll say this tree is healthy. This tree no longer presents any kind of a hazard, so we'll select none. The tree also does not need replacement anymore, so there is no maintenance required. And let's say that Ryan was the inspector again, and we actually ended up changing this tree to a deciduous. It will overwrite some field values. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. Now let's go back up and check. It looks like our tree condition, since we switched subtypes, is no longer valid. So we'll go ahead and select that with good. All right, well, we've gone ahead and updated that tree. Let's say while we're out there, we've done another inspection, and one of the trees here by the entryway has actually gotten damaged. So we're going to choose to edit this tree again and choose damaged. And this does present a significant hazard since it's right by the entrance. For maintenance required, all we'll need to do is prune this tree. It looks like maybe there's some wind damage. And the inspector is Ryan. So we've updated that tree. And let's say it looks like we actually do have another tree over in this location that we might have missed earlier. So let's say that we want to add a new tree to this location. So let's set the location. Remember earlier we didn't set the location. So let's choose to set that. It's today, so we can select the use current option. Tree condition is new, so it is good. Hazard, there is no hazard. There's no maintenance required. We'll add a couple notes for this. Inspector, this was actually done by Ryan as well. And it is a deciduous tree. So it looks like we are good here. So let's say for this individual tree that we do want to edit it again. Well, let's say this time that we actually need to take an image of the tree. So we have several ways that we can choose to take an image of the tree. We can choose to select an image from our gallery, or we can choose to take an image with the camera. For this, we'll take the camera. So this is just an image out my window here in my office. We'll go ahead and accept that image. And now you can see that that image has been uploaded and saved and associated with this particular feature. Alright, so now that we've explored Collector a little, and again there's a lot of additional functionality we're not demonstrating today, but we will move on to the dashboard configuration. So let's switch over to the dashboard. Alright, so we've got our dashboard opened up here, and let's create a new operation view. We're going to create a single screen, and we'll check the Idaho Falls seminar. This gives us all the maps that are available for us in our My Content section. And let's check the capabilities. We'll want to be able to highlight, pan to selected features, zoom to them. Let's allow feature pop-ups. Alright, so let's go ahead and start configuring our dashboard. So you can see it automatically comes in, and this data is fed directly from ArcGIS Online, so it's up to date with everything that we have. Let's add a widget. We can add some very basic items here. We can add summary, query, pie chart, list, legends, indicator, histograms, gauges, feature details. Let's add feature details. These are the items that will display during the feature selection. You can set them to look at individual items. For this, we'll just allow it to go with default. And everything looks okay here. So, as you can see, when we select different features, we get a pop-up. And here's the image that we took. You can see that's automatically synchronized. Now let's add a different widget, and we'll add a bar chart. So let's say that we want this bar chart to preview all the different conditions of our trees. So we want to display feature counts as bars, and it automatically defaults to tree condition. We'll sort by the value, and let's make it descending. This might make it a little easier. And let's use a color ramp for this. Alright, so it looks like we have our features set up. And actually, let's make another edit on this real quick. We want to be able to highlight features by selecting them on the bars. Let's pan to them, and we'll select them as well. So now you can see we have several healthy trees, we have trees with worms, dead trees, we even have a couple null values here. So let's show you how we can highlight trees that are dead. So as you can see, we've got our dead tree that we had earlier. Let's see where this null value is. Oh, that's a tree that we placed over by our office. So let's pan back over to these items, and let's highlight the one that is poor. So it looks like this tree is poor. It was not a hazard, but it did require some water. It looks like we need to inspect our water system. So as you can see, we do have a little issue there. So this operations dashboard has allowed us to take a basic map with basic visualization and actually derive quite a bit more information from it. Let's just take a look at the trees that are healthy. Looks like most of the trees are healthy on the property. And we'll also highlight these ones, and it looks like these healthy counts are for the coniferous trees. Everything looks good here, and so that's a really basic dashboard, but as you can see, there's a lot of options and a lot of ability to customize and alter this. We can even actually use our layer filters. So let's say we only want to view deciduous trees that are damaged. Looks like we've got a tree right here. We do have that one tree that is damaged. So the next time the inspector's out, they'll need to take a look at it and perhaps perform some maintenance on it. Let's see what kind of maintenance. Looks like it just needs pruning. There are some damaged branches. As you can see, it's near an entrance to the hotel. So we don't want a damaged branch falling on a customer's car. Alright, so that is a brief overview of our ArcGIS Online collector, dashboard, and desktop workflows.